Are you in here yet? So I was meditating this morning, as I always do, right? And a memory came back to me from my past. But I feel like the reason why it came back to me was to tell you. Because occasionally, I feel like every 6 months, I think about this moment that happened to me. And I feel like this could have happened to you, what I'm about to tell you. Or this is something that will happen to you. Or could. Okay? It depends on your choice to improve your relationship or strengthen your relationship with Spirit and with God. Okay? Because I feel like these types of experiences only happen when you really work on your relationship with your spirit self, like with you within, okay? Now, anytime you work on yourself, you're also working on your relationship with God. Always remember that. It's not the other way around, because what we are taught from a societal perspective is so skewed and wrong, and that's done purposely to confuse as many people as possible. So don't get caught up in the labyrinth of confusion. Try your best not to, okay? So there a lot of things happened in my childhood that I didn't understand, especially as a child. And I was like, what is happening around me? What is going on? And nobody would tell me. I had always hoped someone would answer my questions. But at the same time, there was a point where I didn't even know how to ask the questions I wanted to ask. And then if I did, I was so young that I feel like at that time I was so young that no one would take heed to what I was saying, because I knew what I was thinking and I knew what I was seeing. But I knew that if I had have verbalized it, I still wouldn't have been able to get the answer that I wanted, because there were so many hidden things that were happening in my life and I did not understand them. So I knew even if I asked, I wouldn't get an answer. You know, when you're a child, a lot of times the adults, they shoot you away, you know, especially when you're young, because there's certain things that you shouldn't really know. I guess there's certain things that an innocent mind shouldn't have to deal with. But the thing is that there's so many individuals that are put in situations that cause confusion as children. And there's so many answers that they have, or excuse me, there's so many questions that they have that are left unanswered. This is way before you get into relationships with like people, like romantic relationships. I'm talking about childhood stuff. And I feel like many of you had questions about your childhood, like what happened? It's just the questions of what happened. Like what was that about? And why did that person leave? And what happened to that person? And why is everybody acting like this? It even could go as far as what's going on outside. Like, you know? And I remember one day, it was years ago, I think it was around 2015 or 2016, because I remember where I was. Okay. And I remember being in the living room. I don't remember what I was doing. And I don't know if this moment was triggered by something around me, like maybe something I was watching or listening to. I don't know. I don't remember that part. I just remember all of the puzzle pieces in my life that were not put together. In moments, out of nowhere, everything clicked, like, and it was a whole. And I was like, oh, I get what happened because y'all just told me, but I wasn't as in tune with the spirit realm as I am now. But that was spirit that did that. Now that I communicate with spirit the way I do, I see how they work, and I see how they teach and how they bring things to the forefront for me now. And it was the same experiences that I have now, because a lot of time when spirit speaks to me, it's the way the thoughts come through. I know that they're not my own. I know that they're being channeled to me. And sometimes when spirit speaks to me, I actually hear them audibly. Sometimes they whisper. Sometimes when I'm laying down and I'm about to go to sleep, they'll start talking to me in between my being awake and my being asleep, like right before, in that space there. Yeah, but anyway, it's making me think about something I want to tell you. I don't know if I told you already, but I don't want to get distracted. But anyway, every question that I had, like the childhood questions, they came rushing in that moment, and they were answered. And I must have gone through a spiritual awakening. I was going through an ascension, because something like that has never happened to me before at that time. And it was such an eye-opening experience, because I was wondering, where did that come from, first of all? And how is it so precise? Like, the precision was amazing, because it was like everything that I had questions about was answered in that moment. And I feel like that came to me in my meditation, that memory this morning, because I'm supposed to talk to you all about it. So apparently, from what I'm feeling, many of you have gone through the experience of being confused as children and not knowing what is happening around you, and having many questions that were never answered. And then even if you had tried to get an answer, it's either you were intimidated to ask just because of how your people are, or you felt as though you were not going to be taken seriously, or you could be just disregarded and told not to worry about it. And it's nothing for you to worry about, but it's something that is in your mind and it bothers you and you want to know. I feel like the worst thing that someone can do to a child is put them under certain circumstances and then not explain to them what's happening and leave them just lost and confused. Because I feel like that confusion lingers into adulthood, and then we end up with a bunch of confused adults. Because there's too many things that are not addressed in childhood, and you have to learn to address them yourself, really. You have to learn to do that. It doesn't just come like magical. Like, no. Even though I feel like that moment for me was magical, because the way all of the answers, or all the questions were answered like that, it was like if it was in the sky in front of me, all of the puzzle pieces were in front of me, and then all of a sudden they just clicked. And I was like, what? Everything. And I was like thinking, and I was like tripping by myself, because nobody knew but me what I was experiencing. And there was people around me, but when it happened, I happened to be in the living room by myself. And it was very interesting, because the questions that I had used to really disturb me, because I wanted the answer. I was always someone who wants to know things. I was always very intrigued by innovation, by things that make me excited, because they tickle my brain. When my brain gets tickled, I get excited and I want to know more. And I'm like, wow, what's that? Let me go see. It's like I'm on a treasure hunt. That's how I feel. That's how I am. I'm still like that now. And so to have that thirst for understanding, and that thirst wasn't quenched, it was that made life more difficult for me, I think, as a child. So I feel like many can rob a child of their growth if they choose not to speak on things that need to be spoken. Because it just leaves a child to try to figure out things on their own, or just walk in confusion for a long time. Or both, right? I also feel like it has to do with the will. Because when I was younger, I really had a strong will to know and understand what happened. And I was wondering, was it my will that brought all those things to me in that moment? Was that my frequency calling out to the universe still to answer my questions, and I didn't even realize what I was doing? Could that be possible? Does that make sense? Like your will being so strong that you make things happen without trying? It reminds me of like magical movies, where if you pay attention, I was always attracted to those types of movies, like movies of like witchcraft and alchemy and stuff. I've always been attracted to those types of movies. And like the show Grimm, that show was creepy, but stuff like that, I was always attracted to it. But it's like, I feel as though in life, hidden abilities that we have, right? When we're in trouble or when we are in need of something, they activate. That's when a certain aspect of your mind activates that you don't necessarily use often, because it's going into, I wanted to say fight or flight. Yeah, I think it is like in that moment when you're in fight or flight. There's times when things inside of our mind or inside of our psyche become awakened. And the reason why I mentioned the like magical movies is you'll notice that, especially in the magical movies where the person doesn't know how to use their magic, they know how to use it when they need it. It's like it activates and all of a sudden it just comes out when they need it. I watched a movie and I can't remember what it's called right now, but it was an animation and it was very cute. Hold on, let me look for what it's called. What's it called that? Hold on. The little girl was able to telepathically hear the dragons. She was able to hear them. And her powers activated when she needed them. And I feel like we're the same way. We do that as well. I'm looking for this movie, but hold on. I might cut this part out, might not, I don't know. But I'm looking for the movie so I can tell you what it's called. So bear with me. Is it this? No, it's not that either. I keep on seeing all of these other movies, but it's not the one that I want. Hold on. Okay, I found it. It's called Dragon Keeper. It was a little girl, a little Asian girl, and it's called the Dragon Keeper. And she was a dragon keeper, and she had these abilities to telepathically communicate with the dragons, but she didn't know how to really, she didn't know how she was doing it. She was just doing it. And I feel like that's what happens to a lot of us. We do the same thing in life. There's certain aspects of our mind that become unlocked, and then we're just able to do something that we didn't know that we could. But many times it only activates when it's like you have to be ready. You have to be ready for it. Yes. My nose is itching. You have to be ready for it. So I just feel like when certain parts of you begin to activate, there's nothing to be afraid of. It's just about allowing yourself to really free fall into it, because it's happening to many. I know many of you are feeling very different. You're feeling a sense of wholeness that you didn't feel before, and it's just because it's time. It's literally time for this to happen, and this is God's work. The expansion of your mind, that's God's work. Because for those who I'm speaking with, you have a God mind. And when you have a God mind, things begin to make sense. You begin to understand aspects of life that you didn't understand before. So don't be fearful of them. It's like Spirit wants you to indulge in them. Free fall into it. Allow yourself to pick up all of the jewels that come with such gifts. I just feel like it's a gift to be able to activate that aspect of yourself, because it creates so much peace within you as well as within your environment. Because you understand. When you have understanding and there's no confusion, you feel more confident because you understand. I feel like lack of confidence comes from lack of understanding. That's what it comes from. That's what I think. It could be more, but right now I'm just thinking about how it makes someone feel to not understand something. So yeah, don't be afraid of your power. Don't feel like you have to hide it. Times have changed now, and just express yourself, because that is truth. And speaking truth right now is healing. I mean, speaking truth anytime is healing. But when you speak that truth, you calling out to the universe, like, I'm down with this. I'm down. Yeah, let's do it. The things. Let's do the things. Let's raise the vibration of the earth. That's the things I speak of, because sometimes I'll be just saying things because I like the way I like it. I just like it sometimes, okay? Don't judge me. But yeah, I think that this is the message right here. It's just basically tapping back into your childhood and just thinking about how hard it was for you to not understand what was happening around you. And then there was a time where you began to understand, and maybe you understand as a how do I want to say this? Maybe you understand now, but maybe some of you don't understand everything still. But that doesn't mean that you will continue to not have understanding in those areas. I feel like what happened to me, it's possible for everyone to, not everyone, but for many, to have that moment of enlightenment where the answers are just given to you. And I think because I was seeking so hard within myself, it's like Spirit saw me doing the work on myself, so they just gave it to me one day. They're just like, okay, you did enough here. Almost like Dharma. It felt like, I don't know, the way it all crashed down in that moment. It was a moment of, That's what it felt like. I was like, oh, the answers. I just saw them all over my mind, like bing, 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 bing. All the dots was connecting in a matter of moments. And the crazy part about it is I remember not even thinking like that deep about my childhood at the moment. It was like I wasn't really in there, and then I wasn't in that sector of thought. And then it just was like, here, pow. It's like, oh, thank you. Thank you. And then it was like a void that I had was filled. It was just filled. So that's it for this message. I hope it helps you. I'm sure it will. I'm sure it will, because we be just going through stuff in life. This is life. This is school, Earth school. And the whole point is to learn. So make sure you're learning. Make sure you're paying attention in class. Make sure you are reflecting on self. Make sure you are reflecting even on other people's circumstances in life so that you can learn from them as well. Okay? I like quiet, right? And I was about to say I'm a city girl. Well, not like that, but I am a girl that has lived in the city most of her life. And I appreciate hearing nature. I don't want to hear machinery, but that's what's outside. So it will be this way until it's not. Anyway, I'll see you in the next message.